Hi, I'm Michael Pink. Thanks for stopping by the Learning Lab and the Rainforest Business Institute. It's an honor to have you here. I'm going to share with you a little bit about how you can learn to produce abundance from scarcity. It's something the rainforest does every day. See, the rainforest is the most abundant, the most diverse, the most lucrative, the most lush business model on the planet, despite having limited capital or poor topsoil to work with. In fact, it often endures dry seasons and a lack of rain or cash flow, if you know what I mean. And yet, it produces abundance. So how it does it is something that I think we can all benefit from. In fact, it's been proven to be true. But I'm not the first person, we're not the first organization to look to nature and see what does nature teach us about business or about technology. In fact, one of my early heroes is a fellow named George Washington Carver. He's the man who rebuilt an economy. Now, he was no ordinary man. He was born a slave in 1864. Later, he was traded for a horse. Not exactly the best beginning in life. He got an education, got a degree in botany, lived through two depressions, the one in the early 1870s and again in the 1930s. He was honored by various U.S. presidents. He was compared to Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, the man was brilliant. He revolutionized southern agriculture and the economy. He took peanuts, amazingly enough, and from those peanuts he invented over 100 different products, from paints to plastics to cosmetics to talcum powder to oils, on and on and on. Amazing stuff the guy did. I mean, there's battleships named after him, a nuclear sub is named after him. He made a huge impact on the American economy, and your life is forever impacted by the discoveries that this man made in the early 1900s. Now, when he was young, he said, God, tell me the mystery of the universe. And God apparently answered back to him, well, that knowledge is just for me. So he said, well, God, tell me the mystery of the peanut. And so God said, well, that's more your size. I think I'll do that. And so he took him inside and he showed him the peanut. And what he did was he actually took the peanut and he broke it apart into little components, little pieces, and then he recombined them differently to produce all the various products. He did that with sweet potatoes and other products as well. Amazing things he did. So what set George Washington Carver apart? A man who was born a slave and traded for a horse. Okay? It wasn't like he was born with a silver spoon or a Harvard education. What set him apart? Well, there was two things. Number one, it was information. Now, he pursued knowledge wherever he could find it. Sure, he got to go to school, and he got a master's degree in botany, which was the study of plant sciences. He said that education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Anything, he said, will give up its secrets if you love it enough. He'd go into the woods, he'd talk to flowers. I mean, I don't think they talked back to him, but in a sense they would give up the secrets because he would consider and ponder on that subject for hours at a time. The other thing that set him apart was his faith. In his mind, God and science were both areas of interest, and they were not competing or warring ideas at all. He testified on many occasions that it was his faith in God that was the only mechanism by which he could effectively pursue and perform the art of science. He said, I love to think of nature as an unlimited broadcasting station through which God himself speaks to us every hour, if we'll only tune in. Reading about nature is fine, he said, but if a person walks in the woods and they listen carefully, he can learn more in the woods than he's ever going to learn in the books, because the woods speak with the voice of God. He had some pretty profound insights. Inspired by that, I went into various rainforests from Tobago and Barbados and Panama and Costa Rica and Guatemala and Belize and around the world, really, a lot of different places, seeing rainforests just like what you see here. This incredible system. And you see a picture here, something that looks so lush, but if you notice there's a waterfall, and as it goes down, it washes the topsoil away. So it doesn't have the advantage of capital. It has to compromise, or it has to kind of do the MacGyver thing. How do I make do with something less than abundance? And the rainforest does an incredible job of that. So let me give you a quick example. Inside the rainforest, we have found 21 high growth factors. Now, there are also 3 very important things to eliminate threats, which we also talk about. But as an example, we know in the rainforest that water is an example of, or a picture of, or a type of information. And a plant or a tree that has a steady supply of water, a steady drip, compared to one that just happens to catch it when it rains occasionally, a plant with a steady supply will grow 13 times faster than a tree or a plant that doesn't have a steady supply of information or water. See, business runs on information, and you need good information. We have a whole module inside the Learning Lab on the power of the use of, the application of, the acquisition of information and the difference that it'll make in your business. It makes all the difference. I mean, I know a young man, 26 years old, driving a cab in the Ukraine. You know what? He got a hold of some information in business. A cab driver, making $200-300 a month, whatever it was. Next thing I know, 6 months or a year later, he's buying a Mercedes, $150,000 cash, paid for, up front. What? He found some information that made a huge difference. He's not the only guy. I know I got lots of examples, and we've had it in our own company as well. But in addition to that, inside the Rainforest, we have topics like design. You see, whether it's a pomegranate tree, a papaya tree, or a pine tree, or a palm tree, it doesn't matter. They're all made of basically the same stuff. What separates them, what differentiates them, is the design, the element of design. A design gives you functionality, but a good design also gives you significance. When you add functionality or a utilitarian aspect to the element of significance, you combine those two things. You turn a coffee drink, which we used to get at any coffee shop back in the 70s, into something we now call Starbucks. See, Starbucks redesigned the drink. I mean, it's still coffee, but they redesigned the drink. They also redesigned the customer experience. And by simply applying the design concept to both their product and the customer experience, they went from a couple $100,000 a year in business to $10 billion a year in business. Understanding now that today, the average coffee shop in America does approximately $500,000 a year. Okay? They do $10 billion. They're 20,000 times bigger, primarily because of their application, their understanding of the element of design. How do you do that to business? We got a whole module that says, here's how you can do this in your business. In addition to that, we talk about fungigation, which is the whole idea of taking something that is no longer delivering a value to you, breaking it into its fundamental components, recombining it, redeploying it, and reinvigorating it, and really redistributing, perhaps, depending on what we're talking about here, repurposing, and giving it a new life and a new lease on life and a new return for you. How fungigation works can be done with products. It can be done with people. It can be done with your message. We talk about the example of Hyundai, how they fungigated their advertising message so that instead of talking about cars in 2009, their car commercials talked about, if you lose your job, we'll make your payments for 3 months. How's that? They didn't even talk about how fast their car went or what their gas mileage was. They fungigated their message to fit in with the times. How do you do that? What does it look like? And what are all the areas you can apply that to? That's just some of the stuff that's inside the Learning Hub, but there's more. We talk about the No Pest Zone. The No Pest Zone is the Rainforest Secrets for Productivity. And believe me, this is huge. In fact, if you learn how to set up a no pest zone, and there's a few basic things, what are the things you can eliminate or automate or delegate or procrastinate, but beyond that, it goes way beyond that, trust me. Beyond that, if you learn how to set up a no pest zone and work in time blocks and do some of the strategies that we learned in the Rainforest, if you learn how to do that, that alone will help you grow 10 times faster. Now you add that to the information, which allows you to go 13 times faster, and you add it to the element of design, which allows you to be 20,000 times bigger, potentially, depending on the business, the industry, the condition at the time, and so forth. I mean, you've really got some amazing things, but there's more, a lot more. I've just touched on 3 things or 4 things. There's the Brazil nut effect, which is the whole concept of leveraging based on relationships that are modeled in the rainforest. The parasitic relationship, which you want to avoid. The opportunistic relationship, which some people are very good at and make a lot of money at. The symbiotic relationship, which most Fortune 500